Welcome to the world of metal. Unleash the fury within and join the metal revolution, where metalheads unite. From the underground to the mainstream. And this is your host, Luke Robinson. And remember, metal isn't just music, it's a way of life. And we celebrate it here at the Metal Blast Podcast.
Gibby Gibson, how's it going, man?
Hello, I'm all right. How are you doing, dude?
Yeah, I'm pretty good, man. Welcome to the Metal Blast Podcast. And it's been a while since we've spoke. You're in a band for about a year now, is it?
Yeah, so obviously we've not really seen each other since college, which was what,
10 years ago?
10,
Well,
12 years ago, yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, about a year ago, joined a folk metal band, or more accurately, someone we both know from college, Nick. I was at a Decapitated gig in Sheffield at Corp, and I was going into the toilet, and he was coming out, and he just went, "Oh, Gibby, forgot about you. Do you want to join a folk metal band?" I haven't seen him or spoke to him in years. And then, yeah, I was just like, sure. Didn't expect to get a message, but then like a week later, I was like, "Do you want to come for a jam?" And
Wait, so
thus,
he asked you to join the band,
yeah,
folk metal? Because really,
yeah.
I know, because you're obviously like folk is your thing. I'd have thought you'd be the one asking.
Well, I think his exact words were, "Gibby, why the fuck didn't I think of you?"
That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, eh?
But yeah,
Oh,
no, it was him and Jesse, who's our bass player. It's their kind of brainchild. Um, they also know. So Nick also drums for. There's this like just pure folk band called, not folk metal, just folk, called Treebeard, who've been around for years. Nick plays drums for them, and he knows the keyboardist from them. Well, I say keyboardist; she plays everything. Juno, she's our keyboardist though. So she's on board, and we've also got this tin whistle player called Carl, who's awesome. Like them two bring that actual like pure folk element to us, because they do all the they go to like all the folk jams around towns in Manchester and Sheffield, and they've just both been in their own like in the folk scene in general for years. So it's generally like our songwriting processes. They start jamming some little jingle, and then we add a bunch of metal around it, and that's kind of how we've been operating. Um, but yeah, so
you,
Jesse and Nick started the band. Then they asked, I think, me, and then we got the actual folk guys involved, and then Haley, our singer, she was the last one to join, and here we are.
yeah. So you just walked in and like, well, this is what I want. Like this.
Yeah, basically, because I mean, I'd not been in a band since Voice of the Silenced from college days.
Yeah, sure,
That
fair
was
enough.
so prior to this, yeah, with Dan and Max and Sam and Matt from college, like deathcore
Yeah,
thing. But that was again that split up like a year or two after college, or more. Everyone went to uni, so couldn't
yeah,
really do after that.
yeah. That's the
But
thing.
yeah, so not been in a band for a few years, and then sauntered into ThunarWülf, and here I am.
Yeah.
A year later, we're doing
Is
all
it
right.
is it ThunarWülf?
ThunarWülf,
Thunner.
yeah, close enough.
Yeah, yeah. I have it right here.
Yeah,
But you know what I'm like with my reading. It's shit.
yeah.
But
Well, we
no,
did
man,
have
it's a
we did.
really cool EP. I'm really digging it. I've listened to it quite a lot, like this past couple of months. Um, it just reminds me of like Skyrim, but like
I'll take
especially
that.
especially the first song. It just makes me want to play Skyrim. So, but I don't know. Is that one of your influences, or well, I know you don't need much influencing for this. Because you've already listened to a ton of like fucking folk metal and um. But is Skyrim a game that you've played a lot, or
I'm actually playing through it at the minute again.
oh nice, yeah,
So I've recently bought it on Switch, which um, is a different experience to what I'm used to because I've had it on PC since it came out.
mm,
Um, so I'm used to like playing it really heavily modded with like all like the Lord of the Rings characters and armors and stuff and a bunch of quests. And I've never actually finished despite like starting it tens of times over the last decade or however long it's been out. I've never actually finished the story, and now I'm playing through it on Switch, so it's quite nice to like get that full vanilla experience again. And I might actually finish it this time. I just play on my commute to work, which it's like 20 minutes each way or whatever, but it's enough. But I wouldn't really say it's not something I'm influenced by particularly. In terms of the music, I've not really written much, especially on that EP. There's like Gibby flair, as Jesse calls it, on some of the guitars and stuff. Like the way our songwriting process was for that is Jesse, like Cole and Juno would write the melodies. Jesse would put a put some riffs behind it, and then I would Gibby them up, and then Richard, our other guitarist, he joined quite late, so he's not really had much writing on these three songs. But our next batch of songs, he's adding a bunch of stuff through. He's our lead guitarist. He does all the twiddly bits. Like the only bit, while he recorded his guitars, the only bit he's kind of written on the EP is his solo on the last song on We Ride. But yeah, I basically just made the riffs more like how I would actually play it.
yeah,
in terms of this.
It's definitely Gibbified the riffs.
Yeah, like the amount of people who the amount of people I shared it was just like, yeah, you could tell you've done these riffs and stuff like that, but it's not all me. It's mainly Jesse. It's quite a nice like writing environment though, especially like the new songs we're writing at the minute, which not many people will have heard. It's quite like a healthy writing environment in general. We everyone's putting in, everyone's got something to contribute. It's quite a nice way to write. There's not really pressure on any one person to finish a song or anything like that. We're all just throwing ideas around and sticking them together.
That's pretty good then, because you've got like 7 people in the band.
Which is a nightmare to get any practices done. But I think we've only actually managed. Oh, I wouldn't be exaggerating if it was like maybe 2 or 3 practices with the entire band in the last year.
Oh wow.
Well, because there's 7 of us. Cole lives in Manchester, so they can't commute all the time, and half the band members have kids. So it's as we've been speaking recently, you've been saying it's been harder and harder for you to find time since you sprogged up.
Yeah, like when we were saying earlier, you're saying, oh, Luke, like you said you didn't have time. Well, yeah. the thing is, I can't practice guitar for 10 minutes. I've got to have a good hour or 2.
Right.
And it's same with songwriting. Like it's got to be 3 hours of deep work.
Yeah, I have to dedicate time to it.
Yeah, there's deep work, and then when it comes to the content creation, that's like, oh, cool. I'll just do 10 minutes, like a video, or 20 minutes, session, and that's fine. I can easily squeeze that in, change a nappy, come back, do another little content reel or whatever. But with a music creation, it's got to be deep work for me. I've got to be like, right, leave me alone for 3 hours.
Yeah, I'm a lot like that, but that's for me. I think I don't want to say I'm a perfectionist with it, but I couldn't just like, for instance, Jesse, he's a riff machine, and we've got like a Google Drive where so everyone just uploads melodies and riffs and whatever. And if there were 100 riffs up there, 90 of them would be Jesse's, because he just like churns them out. Like
Yeah.
not all of it's good, but it's something we pick and choose from, and or someone will hear it and get an idea and then add to it, and that's kind of our writing process. Like just Jesse throws a lot of stuff out, but for me, it takes me ages to like. I might write something and then play around with it and then not like it anymore, and
Mm.
then kind of get stuck on what to do next. And it does take me ages to do anything. Like with the when we were in college, the you know the composition we had to do, especially when I started playing around with like the symphonic sounds and stuff. It took me ages to write all that stuff. Just
Mm.
I'd spend like my lunch times in the vocal booth. I don't know if you remember, just playing around with it because we had that one Edirol CD to
Oh,
work from. And I still,
I
well,
snatched it off you at one point. I was like,
I've,
I want to have a go at
I
that.
know it was. I like to think I influenced that in you. Although I like to think I influenced quite a lot of the music in you in some ways.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, just walking around Westfield School and me just chucking an earbud in your ear and be like, listen to this.
Yeah. Oh, for anybody that doesn't know, me and Gibby, we went to the same school.
Yeah,
I think you were 2 years above
I'm the same
me.
age as your brother, so
Yeah. So it's about 2 years above me at school, but then we ended up being at the same college, the same 3 year course, or 1 year and 2 year course. And then yeah, so we knew each other a bit before college,
we've known each
but
other since I've known you since I was probably about 10. Like at least known who you were
yeah,
since about 10ish. And
yeah.
then obviously when you came to Westfield, I knew Matt. Oh no, so it'll be when I was about 13, I guess, when you joined Westfield.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, Gibby was just saying then, like, he just used to put his earbuds in my ear and he said, listen to this shit. And I remember Needle 24/7 being like the very first song. And I was like, this is some serious, like, shreddiness, this. Like, I've never
Well,
heard
that
anything
was
like
it.
this
It
before.
was your brother who. So because I think because me, I was listening to it, and then I got Scott Pearson into it, and we
Mm,
tried to get your brother into it, and he was just like, "I don't like it, but my brother will."
yeah.
So
Oh, right.
that's where that came from.
Yeah.
He was like, "My brother will absolutely love this." So
Yeah. I mean, as I'm coming to like the last year of school or last 2 years of school, I got into Churisas and Nightwish. I think it wasn't Kerrang, it was Rock World TV on
was that the
Sky.
one that used to do the live shows, and it did like the Churisas in the boxing ring and stuff like
Yes,
that? Because
yes, it
I
was.
was trying to think of the name of that channel the other. I think it was me and my brother were like, we could remember the channel because all they used to do was play live shows. And I
Mm,
remember the Churisas. I remember there being a Nightwish one.
yeah,
Uh, there was a Gojira gig that was played quite a lot as well because they used to like do that and an interview with the band kind of side by side, if I remember rightly. But yeah, it's funny that you brought up because me and my brother were literally trying to remember the name of that channel, but
I
because
think it was Rock World. It wasn't Scuzz. It wasn't
no,
Kerrang.
because I think it was the same channel as Scuzz because but
Mm,
it was like before Scuzz. So I
right.
think like Scuzz replaced it. I don't know if they got bought out or whatever, but I remember it disappeared at the time that Scuzz kind of became a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I think LimeWire had just well, LimeWire came out just as I got to college, and he was like, "Hey, you can illegally download shit." But oh well, I've just it was Serious That's a Nightwish. I thought, oh, I'll just have a little go, and I was like, I think it was Slayer the Dreamer or something like that. But anyway, I ended up buying the greatest hits at the time, Nightwish, and then I realized that was a bad idea because I just want to buy every other album that they've done now. But then I knew you was into like the folk, well, like the Scandinavian sort of thing,
Yeah.
and then you just like Interferum, Norther, Winter Sun, and I was like, Chuffing, now where's all these bands come from? And yeah, I've just loved it ever since. So yeah, big thanks to you for that, for introducing me to all this Scandinavian stuff. Um, But
You
yeah,
found your own way though, because you've gone like your space metal side. Because I remember the first time I listened to you, I can't remember what song was the first one I heard, but it really reminded me of what they call Machina or Mechina. I'm not too.
yes. Just for now, I've not listened to
Uh,
them in 2 years or so. Yeah, yeah. I
and it
don't
was
know.
like the whole kind of. I've not listened to them much. There was one of their songs used to be on my kind of YouTube playlist. That's where I think it was like Progenitor or something like that. But there was just one of your songs, and it was like the same kind of big epic intro, and then blast beats, and then screaming. I was like, okay.
That was probably
I
uh,
can't remember.
it was probably Portals of Rebirth in 2018. I was really getting into what they call it, Machina.
It's Machina, Machina. I don't know how to pronounce it, and
Yeah,
I can't actually remember how to spell it now.
I think I was listening to them when I released Portals of Rebirth. Yeah, it was about 2018, and I was listening to them quite a lot. I think they got like a good 4 albums. I don't know how many albums, but
They've
they,
they've got a really cool concept actually. So I don't listen to them, but it's like all the albums are one concept story.
yeah.
So it's like
Mm.
um and I think like the first four albums are like one after another, but then the album I listened to that like was Progenitor or something, and that's a prequel. And I heard that because I got reading the lyrics one day, and then through that I found the wiki page and then got like deep diving into the story. So admittedly, I like the idea of them more than I do like listening to them. I only like a handful of songs on there, but it's a cool kind of thing, and it's something I've always wanted to do. I'm kind of trying to do that with ThunarWülf a little bit. Not fully like based off that, but just the idea of because I always like the idea. So you know how like on Ensiferum albums they've always got the guy with the shield
Yeah.
on the front, and I've always thought of ThunarWülf as being the name of someone. So like you know how like we have the old English Beowulf stories. I
Yeah.
was thinking like ThunarWülf's another character. So the direction I kind of want to take it in terms of like concept is not necessarily all the songs are about them, but it's like the tales of ThunarWülf kind of thing. So
Yeah.
all the lyrics for the songs I've written have always been about a person doing a thing
Skyrim.
out at sea doing stuff, or on land doing things, in battle doing a stuff. So I think that's the direction we might take it, at least in terms of merch. We've got some cool ideas for some merch coming up. In terms of we're wanting to get a I don't want to say that yet, just in case it doesn't happen. But I'll tell you off camera. But we've got some cool ideas for some like new t-shirt designs and stuff, kind of based around that idea.
No, that sounds really good.
For the
That
songs.
sounds really cool.
Yeah, I don't want to say anything just in case it just never happens, or someone steals my idea and does it quicker than us because we take a while to do anything.
Oh, you've done pretty well. Have you been together a year? Well,
Yeah,
actually,
so
you joined. Yeah, I know.
we started jamming together like May last year.
Mm,
Um, and then we wrote a few songs. The EP came out October. I think it was Halloween Day. I think it was October 31st. It came out.
mm.
Um, but the first that wasn't like 6 months of writing songs. It was 6 months of us mainly just jamming, throwing some things together. Um, we did we did a lot of recording at home just because people are from all over the place, really, all kind of around Sheffield. But um, yeah, we worked hard on getting that EP out mainly for the because we played Warhorns, and their kind of um deal for playing Warhorns is you need to have something physical out, basically. So
Oh,
they basically told us like they wanted to book us, but we need to get an EP out. So that's why we pushed for an EP before we really did any gigs. We unfortunately we had to cancel a few gigs at the beginning as well, just because one gig, sorry. And I think another one just never materialized, but because our singer got very ill, they had some really bad, really bad chest infections. So
mm.
obviously that pushed us back a bit. And our first gig was the Metal to the Masses first heat, which we ended up going through to the final, which was nice. That was cool
Nice.
playing Corp main stage, like fourth gig or something like that. But yeah, we got to play Warhorns, and that was a big one for us, just because a couple of us go to Warhorns anyway, so we know a
Mm.
few bunch of the people who go there, and it was like that was like a gig for our people. That's the people we're trying to get on
Yeah,
board with what we're doing.
yeah.
So
It was about 5 years ago when I went to Warhorns. But I'm gonna buy a ticket soon to go
are you going this September?
September,
Yeah.
September 1st or 2nd on the
It's
Saturday.
yeah, it's the first weekend. But it starts the bands start the Friday night. You can go the Thursday night usually. But I'll be there because Kalmar are awesome.
Yeah,
And
I'm
I
digging.
phenomenon I don't know how to pronounce their name. The
uh,
French melodic death metal band. They're so good.
I'll just say a FEMA.
That's probably closer than my
um,
pronunciation. Admittedly, I only know it because me and Jesse don't know how to pronounce it, and whenever we're chatting about them, it's I phenomenon because there's
yeah,
too many e's and too many n's in that word.
yeah,
But they are really good. Like their albums are so good.
yeah. I was so excited to see him on the Warhorns because I've been wanting to see him. Um, but I don't know. I just don't know if they do many UK stuff. But when I saw him on the lineup with Calamar, I was like, fucking hell. Right, I'm definitely going the Saturday if they are playing the Saturday. Um,
I
but
think you'll be fine in terms of it's not really a festival that sells out. I know the early bird tickets sell out, but um, it's it's quite a small like knit group of people who go.
hmm,
The winter one like has less people, but I think it's just because it's kind of big in winter. But the summer one, which is bigger, I've not seen it fully sell out, so I don't think you'd be too much of a trouble if you left it a few weeks or a couple of months, something like that. And
yeah,
there's always day tickets as well that you can buy. Um, but no, it's a really cool little festival. I'd recommend anyone go if you just want to go to a fun little festival at a power station. Like,
it's not in Selby then. Is it in
no,
Selby?
it's now at Drax Power Station, which is about
Oh yeah,
15 minutes
yeah,
outside of it.
yeah,
It's really close to Selby still,
yeah. Because I went.
but it's
Don't,
it's
yeah,
it's now in it's at the the workman's pub at the actual power station, and
yeah,
everyone camps in the cricket field or whatever it is next to it. So
yeah. I remember a band that really sticks out from what I saw at Warren's 5 years ago was I think you call him Scarib from Egypt. Uh,
I think I know who you mean, but I've not listened to. I think I've just seen the logo probably before.
they were really good. Like I'd never heard them before, but there were a lot of people there for them. Um, but I saw them and I thought they were brilliant. I think they were all from Egypt, and they were just one guy from the UK, I think.
That's cool.
Um,
It's
Plus,
it's a
it
really cool little festival for that though,
he looked like
because
Chris Broderick. I like
nice. It probably was him because all he does is session work these days anyway. Although I think he's now joined In Flames fully, but I
yeah,
always thought that was a weird
yes.
appointment for him, especially because it's rhythm guitar for In Flames, and I'm not shitting on In Flames at all. I like them, but I always
Mm,
felt that his talents were a little bit wasted
mm,
doing rhythm for a melodic death metal band. But I saw them in Sheffield last year with him, and they were great. Like they played at the Lead Mill, which was a I didn't think it would be good for it, but it was a great gig.
wow. Yeah, I saw In Flames at Arena 4 years ago, something like that. I don't. Chris Broderick wasn't there, but I'd have been like buzzing if he were. But yeah, he was supporting Disturbed and Avenged Sevenfold. Yeah, that was it. But yeah, I thought they were pretty good. But yeah, I didn't really see why he would join that band, but it's up to him, I suppose.
The new
But
In Flames album is really good though. I've ever
yeah,
listened to it. Yeah, it's good. And they're really fun live. Like for me, they were one of those bands where because like the Scandinavian metal, and I like Arch Enemy and Northern and Children of Bone, and they're always a band that people kept telling me to get into.
Hmm.
I never did really growing up, but it wasn't until it was only in the last few years I've really gave them a proper listen to, and I like them.
Hmm.
Like they're fun, especially live, as I said. But they have got some really really good songs.
Yeah. What do you think's the new Kalmar album?
I've heard the first three songs. I think there's that Haunted by Guilt's right
Hmm.
good.
Yeah, yeah, it's really good.
It's it's quintessentially Kalmar though. Like, and
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
mean that in a
it
bad way, because Amon and Martha are the same. Like,
is.
that to me that they write. They've written one album like many times, but luckily it's a really good album. So like,
Yeah,
so it doesn't matter if it comes out again.
yeah,
But no, that Haunted by Guilt's a great song.
yeah. I can't believe I was behind a Monomarth the other day on the motorway.
Oh
It
yeah,
just
you sent me
the
that picture.
the lorry just drove past, and I'm like, why is a Monomarth like on the side of like lorry? And then I went up his arse road, but all the tour dates were there. Like, finale they've just played Wolverhampton, now they're on the way to Grasspop. I'm like, what?
Oh,
Fair hell.
I met Johan Hegg in Norway.
Hmm.
I bumped into him at I think I messaged you at the time about it. I was at there's this big folk and black metal festival
Yeah.
in near Oslo called Midgårdsblot. It's on
Hmm.
the old Viking burial mound. It's really cool. Everyone should check it out. But they have a Grimfrost store there, and he was working the shop. So I went and
Yes. Yeah,
got
I do
chatting to
remember you
him.
saying that. Yeah.
I went,
Yeah.
got chatting to him, and also chatted to him while Rotting Christ were on for a little bit as well up by the
Hmm.
bar. It's a really cool little festival as well. There's only a couple of thousand people, but really worth going to if anyone wants to go.
That's like your heaven, isn't it? That's like your
Oh, it's
dream.
well, yeah, because it's the grounds are on a it's now a museum because, like as I mentioned, it's the old Viking burial mounds.
Hmm.
They've rebuilt the big Gilder Hall, which is where they used to do all the funerals and stuff like that. If anyone's seen them, there's a show called Norseman,
Hmm.
um, and all the scenes where they're inside a Guildhall, it's all filmed in this and around it. But yeah, they have like a blot on the first day, which is like a religious ceremony where they've got like the vat of blood. There's a bunch of people banging bloods. You go up, you dunk your hand in the blood, draw it on your face. It's cool. Fire everywhere. And then they'll have that, which is like super religious, and you have to treat it with respect because some people take that stuff seriously.
Hmm.
But it's an experience if anything, and it's hard not to get caught up in it given your surroundings and stuff like that. But they'll do that, and then they'll have really 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 heavy black metal on. But then the next person on, they'll have like some acoustic thing. It's like a really nice mix of music, really nice mix of people. It's more like a Scandinavian like heritage festival than a um solely black or folk metal. But there's a lot of black and folk metal thrown in there, obviously, as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds amazing. Like, it'd be so yeah, it'd be so good to go.
I'd recommend anyone to go. That's my second time going. And I wish I could go this year because this year they've got Fintroll and Tyr playing. Um,
Not seen Fintroll before. That'd be good.
oh, they're great. I'm surprised because they played HRH a few years ago. I thought you would have been there, but um, they're a lot of fun. Big floppy ears.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'd like to see. I've always there's always been something happening when the HRH Viking Festival. I've always just been busy, and it's like Moon Sorrow. You know how much I love Moon Sorrow. They've done like
Yeah.
2 headline shows there past couple of years. Uh, I think Interfering was supposed to play there, but COVID happened.
Yeah, they were meant to play not last year, the year before, and they had to bail because the world was on fire and stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
got a 10-minute warning. We've only got 10 minutes left, mate.
yeah. We'll have a 4 minute break, and then it'll
Okay.
have another brew.
Oh yeah.
But what t-shirt you wearing? Is that a festival?
This is Cryptess. It's a mates band of mine.
All right. Yeah.
Just
Oh, bro.
I'm not trying to like sound as if I'm representing. It was top of the pile, but they're cool. It's like straight up female fronted death metal. They're really good.
Yeah.
They've actually just released. I'm not trying to do a plug here, but they've just released their first song on Spotify.
Oh,
And I
nice.
can't
nice.
remember the name, so that's why this isn't a plug. But they're really cool, really heavy.
Sheffield band, did you say?
No, Nottingham.
Oh.
But it's one of my best mates is the guitarist who plays for them. So cool band.
I'm already halfway
What's
there.
that t-shirt you're wearing, mate?
It's a bit too small, but I think that's just because I love donuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, this used to fit.
Well, now
quite
you're a dad,
nicely.
you've got to get that dad bod going on. Them's
Yeah.
the rules. Like,
I got to 30 and it just went like that. Just yeah, I've got a victory songs. I think that fits better.
it's that XL or something like that.
Yeah. XXL.
That's large, extra large size. I was gonna say fat bastard, so I've said it now. So
no, I get called fat bastard all the time, but I love it.
Well, you wear that with pride.
Yeah. I think I got this not Tenerife. What's the other one? Sure, now I forgot the name of the place. But when you go to Spain, you go like these Tenerife islands and that. You'll just be walking around and then they'll just see the most metal merch shop you've ever seen just in the corner of this market. And they've just got tons of t-shirts and CDs and that, and you're like, I'm gonna have a good 45 minutes in here. And I think I ended up buying this one and Demi Borgia. Abra Abra you know what I'm saying. Abracadabra, is it?
Oh, abracadabra, yeah.
That's yeah. I thought I'm having that. That probably doesn't even fit either, but
Is
yeah.
that because they shrunk in the wash because of where you bought them from? Or yes, there we go. That's
there
it.
we go. Yeah.
It's not the donuts.
You've said what I was trying to think. But yeah, I'm working on it.
I keep saying it. I keep saying I will, but at the same time as well, I keep ordering because I work from home. I keep ordering a KFC for lunch for delivery, so I'm not working on it that hard.
I had a KFC the other day for the first time in about 15 months, and I was like, God, it's almost a double the price what I paid 15 months ago.
Gone up a lot. I remember when they were like £6.
For 3 pieces of chicken, now it's like 11 quid. You're like, what? But no, with me, I tend to get really fat and then I just shrink down. I like lose 1.5 stone, something like that, 2 stone, and I'm like, oh, I've done really well. And then I'll just treat myself, and then it all just piles on so quickly. But it's just what it is.
Is that because you're like? Is that like due to your work schedule? Because if you're driving around everywhere and stuff like that.
Yeah. Because I used to deliver beer like 12, 15-hour shifts.
That's not going to help.
delivering it helps. Shifting that lot, but then COVID happened, gym shut, everything. I'm like, well, I'm just sat eating shit all day now. I'm not burning it off, so I just got fat, and then 2021 came along, everything started back up, and then I just lost 18 pounds. I'm like, all my fat clothes don't fit anymore. I've got to buy smaller ones. Like this shirt fit again. But yeah, it's just a cycle. I just put weight on and then I just lose it all. And it's just like an 18-month thing. But yeah, it's
with me, it's just I just slowly keep putting more on, and that's I should probably do something about it soon, but I haven't yet.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I actually do. I'm not far from the M1. and I love to just go for a jog up to the M1 and back. Just put my headphones in and just listen to an album, and it just clears your mind. Like you just, or sometimes I don't even listen to music. Just go for a walk up to M1 and back, and you know what? I get really, I get a, got a lot of good ideas, like music ideas, whilst I'm on this walk, and I feel like it's just, I don't know. For me, I just create ideas doing that. Just let my mind just flow, and for now, I can't wait to go back home and record the idea that I've just had. Um,
I
I
get
don't.
mine. I usually get mine when I'm sat on a train or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, just
I don't know
traveling.
why. It's because even like what if I'm doing something, I like to listen to. So I listen to a lot of audiobooks at the minute. That's kind of my chill
Yeah,
at the last. I don't know, the last 6 months or something. It's just been my chill listening to audiobooks. Um, but usually when I get on the train, for whatever reason, I turn it off, and that's when I like sit quietly, and that's when I get a lot of my
yeah,
ideas. And usually I forget them by the time I get off the train. But if
yeah,
I haven't, then I know it was a good idea, and I should probably record that as soon as I get home.
yeah.
But yeah, it's weird. Do you normally get your ideas while doing monotonous tasks, or like?
Yeah, it's just something about silence and traveling where ideas just tend to flow. I think it's just let your mind just wander off, and you,
Wanders?
yeah. And usually when my mind wanders off, it's usually thinking about music, and that's just where, yeah, just where my ideas come from. I think it's just as good as picking up a guitar and having a jam and coming up with something. But yeah, it's just good to get out. It's just a little bit of exercise as well. Um, but it's like, like Neil said at college, like, oh, there's going to be more and more people in the future recording music at home, because technology is getting so good. But that's the thing, we're just sat at a computer all the time,
Yeah,
and it's good to just have that good half an hour to an hour walk, clear your mind a bit, and
I
come
think
up.
for I think for me, my problem is that so when I'm working, so I work hybrid. So sometimes I work in the office, sometimes I'm working at home.
Mm,
And my problem is that I don't, as much as I've just bought a house, I haven't quite got a room yet where I can separate work and um, play. So like right now, I'm sat at the PC, which is also where I record from. It's also where I play games from. And it's also where I work from. Um, so I do think I need to kind of get some kind of separation. Like you say, because if I'm just sat here all day, it's going to be hard to creatively jog your mind up, get
yeah.
those creative juices flowing. I have to kind of dedicate time to it
Mm.
to try and get it to happen. Or I have like a spur of the moment thing where I'm like, oh, 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 and I run and I get home. Although I'm really annoyed at myself because I recently lost a lot of my recordings because I'm an idiot. Yeah, my hard drive on my SSD on my PC died, and I hadn't backed up like half of my stuff. Half of the things I had, but just a lot of
Ah,
my
shit.
like just sporadic ideas that I'd thrown
Yeah.
going into Cubase. I hadn't quite hadn't quite backed them up, so they're gone now forever because I'm
Ah,
really bad at I find with myself I'm really bad at remembering them like off just how it went. But if I
mm,
heard the first couple of notes, I'd be like, oh yeah, you play it like this. So
mm.
I'm aware of the time though. So do you want to stop
Yeah,
this
yeah.
now and then
Well,
come back?
yeah, we'll take a break, a couple of minutes, and then we'll jump back on. So
Cool.
I'll see you in a minute.
See you in a minute.
Where did that cough come from?
Oh, my girlfriend Emma's sat in the room just playing Stardew Valley over there, being happy. So
Nice. So, I'm really looking forward to next week's gig at
Oh, are
Corp.
you coming?
Yeah, I bought my tickets. I'm guessing you
Nice.
you don't do the social media, do you? Because you've replied to the comment, but not you. Obviously, somebody else.
Oh yeah, no, that's mainly Jesse, I believe.
Yeah, yeah. Because I was
I
like,
also
I've
I
got my
also noticed that he
tickets.
said the gig was on Friday, and I asked him to correct
Oh.
that. So if you bought the ticket thinking it was Friday the 24th, it ain't because that day doesn't exist.
No, no. Yeah, I'm coming to the gig early on,
Nice.
but I won't be able to stay all night. I've got a friend coming from Australia, so it's
Bring
like
him along. It'll be a good day.
bring her along.
Yeah,
Nah, she don't like this sort of stuff.
she might like Aonia though.
Yeah,
So Aonia, my brother's band, it's their festival. It's
yeah,
have you listened to them? You'd really like them. It's
yeah. I've listened to them before. They've played Bloodstock, haven't they?
yes.
Yeah,
That was before my brother was in the band, but yeah.
right. Yeah.
That was like 3, 4 years ago, I think. I don't know. My brother's been in
Yeah.
the band for like I think he joined them shortly after the Bloodstock
Hmm.
um
Yeah,
thing happened.
it's two
Because
female singers, isn't it?
yeah, like
Yeah,
two female operatic singers. They're
that's
pretty
right.
good.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, it's gonna be a really good day. I would say if you can stay for at least Bring to Bear, do it because Bring to Bear are awesome. Um, they're good friends of ours. We've got a they're kind of in a similar stage as us, is that they've not been around that long, folk metal, but with an accordion player. And we've played with them at Warhorns. We've also played our gig with not in Nottingham was with them just by chance.
Hmm.
We didn't book these, but we've got like 3 more gigs booked with them for the rest of the year. So
Cool.
yeah, it's I think we're both kind of growing around about the similar rate and around about the same time.
Pretty good.
They also did really well on their Metal to the Masses. I think they're through to the semis, which haven't happened yet for them. Um, or no, it's the finals, but I don't think they can make it. There's some conflict in schedules. Either
Hmm.
way, though, if you can stay for them, I know you'll really like them in general.
Yeah,
They're pretty
yeah. I
awesome.
could definitely stay for a good couple of hours. Um, I don't know if they're on just after you or a couple of hours
I
after.
don't know. I'll let you know though. In general, because we're on first, so we're on at 3:30 or 3:45, something like that. I think
Hmm.
doors are maybe 3:30, and then we're on 4:45.
Hmm.
But I imagine Bring to Bear will be on early-ish. I
Yeah.
don't know though, to be honest. I'll double check and find out for you.
Do, will they post the tickets? Would you know, or do I just turn up and just say, "Oh,
I honestly don't know. We
hmm,
have nothing to do with the tickets.
right,
That's all
hmm,
handled because you buy them off Corp.
yeah,
I imagine if you look on the email, it will tell you. But most gigs I've been to recently, it's email anyway.
hmm,
Like since COVID, everyone's just gone paperless, so and it's just easier for everyone. Um,
yeah,
so I'd imagine your proof of purchase on your emails will do. Um,
yeah, yeah." It's been a while since I've been a co-op.
uh, it hasn't
Yes.
changed. It's still awful.
Is the white room white?
Last I went, it was still white.
Ah.
Although it
Yeah.
was also dark, so yeah, maybe it's
Actually,
gone like a beige.
I did go during the lockdown when they started opening things up. They shut Co-op where the stage is,
Yeah.
and then there's like a bar area, not where you go in Co-op. It's next door to it, like a shutter door, and it's just there. I don't know if that's Co-op.
Was it the outs in the smoking area that shutter?
No, but next to that, there was like another extra bit, but they called it Co-op. It was I don't know.
Was it to
Um,
the white room?
no, it was definitely downstairs, like next door
Oh,
to
just
the
the small.
smoking
Was it
area.
just in the small room then?
No, no, it was a completely different bit.
Do you just mean the main bar, like,
No,
but with the shutters down?
I'd never been there before. I've been all the way around Co-op, and then our last were like, "Oh, we're gonna Co-op," but it's just this little extra bit. But I'd never been there before. I don't. I don't know.
There's a lot of shutters in that place. You'd have to be more specific.
You know when you go downstairs into the smoking area,
Yeah, so the shutters on the other side of the smoking area.
the shutters on the right when you walk down the steps.
Yeah.
But if you just go straight forward,
Yeah. Like
there
the
was
shutters at the back wall where Sonic's usually painted on them.
yeah. Well,
Yes.
it was like bang
Basically
opposite.
opposite the stairs that you'd normally go to
Yeah,
go into the smoking. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I'd never been in there before, but it was like a part of co-op because you could come into the smoking area and then go upstairs, go to the toilet, stuff like that. But yeah, I'd never been there before.
I've only seen that open once where they had like a dedicated cybergoth night. Um and I
Nice.
think they usually have that in there. It was but yeah, it's magical when it opens, especially for
Yeah,
someone who doesn't know it's there. You assume it's storage, but oh wait, no, there's more.
yeah. So that was like 2021, 2020, something like that.
Possibly.
But
Like those all those years have all kind of molded together. The only kind of good thing to come out with that was so I went to the first Bloodstock after lockdown. But it was when things were still a little bit locked down. And so we were meant to have bands um, like basically all the foreign bands pulled out. So like I remember Demo Borgir were meant to be playing, they pulled out. I have a feeling Behemoth were another band that pulled out. Unleash the Archers couldn't play so that because they couldn't do the travel because travel restrictions were still up and down, and every country was doing it slightly differently. Every country still had different like layover laws with so something you had to like stay in a hotel for 2 weeks, and we had that. I think the only foreign band that ended up playing was Devin Townsend. And I think he like flew out 3 weeks early just for Bloodstock, and he sat in his hotel room for 2 weeks just to play. But that Bloodstock, as much as that sounds as if it'd be awful that they had to pull out all the big bands, they did a really good job at basically bringing in British bands that were maybe a bit similar or just to mix things up a bit. So like all the British bands that were on the smaller stages all got moved to the main stage.
nice.
A couple of the headliners they tried to do like for like. So I know that Demu pulled out and they got Cradle of Filth in instead. Obviously British band. But it was really nice festival just to kind of walk around and see all these bands that I would probably never have heard of before, never seen, playing the main stage. It was like, I'm not trying to make it like a Brexit means Brexit thing, but it was nice to have like an all British festival for a change. And yeah, that was awesome. And we had like an extra day of festival as well because of lockdown. The weather was awful in the sense of it was way too hot. And I learned that day that I can no longer hack camping for more than 3 days.
Yeah,
By the fourth day, my back was gone. But no, that I think I just remember that was one positive from that kind of weird period where gigs were still getting cancelled and stuff, was that Bloodstock still managed to pull together an awesome festival. And there's loads of like smaller British bands managed to play like a big stage at Bloodstock. It was really cool. I like that.
Yeah, it's a good area, Bloodstock. It's like Drakelow sort of area, isn't it? It's like
yeah,
Derbyshire.
it's only about an hour from us, if that.
Yeah, it's just like M1 at A38, and then it just goes down this little country road, and it's just like fields. It just goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's Cat and Park, in it.
Yeah, Cat and Hall. Yeah. Have you been to the actual festival?
No, but I've really, really want to go, and I'm tempted for Megadeth this year.
I think I wanted to go the Saturday this year, which I don't think that's Megadeth Day. I can't remember off the top of my head.
I think they're on Sunday. But yeah, I've been Cat and Park, Cat and All, like loads of times. I've just never been to Bloodstock, but yeah.
Yeah, no, me and my friend are on about going the Saturday because it's got Meshuggah, Abbott. I love Abbott.
I just keep thinking of that meme when he's falling down there.
Yeah. and Zeal and Ardor as well, but I have a feeling that might clash with Meshuggah, which will be annoying. Zeal and Ardor are really cool. It's like old country blues metal. It's but like American deep south blues, but metal. But I'd really recommend you check them out. My friend who I'm going with, Charlie, she's been a fan of them for years, and she's been trying to get me into them and listen to them for years. And I'm really bad at that. I'm really bad at getting into a band or just remembering to check something out. I generally need something for me to like trigger to get into them. And I saw them at that festival in Norway, that Midgard's Blot, because they played that. And they're just so cool. I'll send you a couple of songs after this. They're just a really, really cool band and awesome live. So I really want to check them out again. Trying to see who else. There was someone else on the Saturday I was really up for seeing. I don't want to look through the list all day. I can't remember. There was another band as well on the Saturday that was it Celtic Frost maybe? Yeah, probably that. But yeah, I think I'm just gonna do the day on the Saturday.
Yeah, nice. What's the most bizarre thing you've ever seen at a gig that just sticks out in your mind?
I mean,
I know you've got a few.
I've seen Abbott before. Well, I saw Immortal once, and I saw him like crab walk. It was impressive at how fast he managed to cover like a huge stage, just like crab walking side to side. I think one of the funnest, unexpected things that happened. I know anyone who's seen the band before will know that this happens, but the band Skindred, is it?
Skindred.
Is it Skindred? Yeah, Skindred. They do something called the Newport helicopter.
Oh yeah, when they take the shirts off and yeah.
I wasn't expecting that, so that was nice.
Oh, you were just there like, what the hell's going off here?
Well, I was first one like whipping it off. There's obviously also it's fun to see Amon Amarth where everyone rows the boat, and that actually started at Bloodstock. Like the first time it ever happened was at Bloodstock, and then that's caught on over the world, which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah. Do you remember when we saw Monomarth with Children of Bodom and Spherum?
Yeah, that was a good gig.
2011. I think it was like 20 quid for like those three bands. I'm like, sure. I mean,
what
20 quid.
What a time to be alive. It's like those three bands in their prime as well.
Yeah. And it was they were From Afar, actually. They were promoting.
No, because From Afar was 2008. Because there was the second time I saw them was the From Afar tour, and that was.
Or was it 2009 we saw them? I'm sure I remember seeing this artwork on a massive square background.
Oh, the only I don't know, mate.
It was because the second time I saw Interferum was Unsung Heroes at that really small venue.
Oh, the one, the one that was the one that was just a pub in Manchester.
Yeah.
Because I remember we were trying to get Max to come out for it.
Yeah, that was a really good gig. That.
And Sifrim have never let me down. Like they're the one band that I've probably seen the most. Well, them and Bodom, but it's pretty equal now in terms of who I've seen more. But yeah, they're just one of those really consistent bands. I think one of the biggest, I know you were saying weirdest thing I've seen at a gig. I think one of like the biggest surprise bands I've seen, not in terms of being weird, just in terms of me suddenly finding out they were awesome, was Gojira.
Yeah, they are fucking.
Have you seen them live before?
At 11 o'clock on a Sunday morning.
Nice.
It woke me up. They were fucking brilliant. Absolutely loved them.
I saw them at Tuska in Helsinki. And it was Tuska is a really cool festival. It's in like an old abandoned power station. It's a really cool little festival. And the main stage, like the bar overlooks the main stage. Standing at the bar is actually the best place to watch bands on the main stage. And anyway, me and my mate, we went to the bar and I was just like, my brother's really into this band. So, I'll hang around and listen to them, and they just absolutely blew me away. Like they were so good, so tight.
Good
I
stage presence as well.
Yeah, it was like the whole, just in terms of like a band that completely, I had no intention of really giving much time, and they just blew me away completely.
Yeah.
So Gojira.
I should have seen them twice because I wrote downloads and I met Nightwish at the signing booth, but I also met Gojira at the signing booth as well. And it was
Well,
like,
you're like, hi, I'm not here to see you, but
I was like, I really want to see him again, but Nightwish is like playing over there. So it's like I got the signatures, I met him, and then I was like, well, I'm gonna go watch Nightwish. So, but no, I managed to see him 11 o'clock Sunday morning at Sonisphere
nice.
2014. And as you can imagine, it's coming to end at festival Sunday. You're a bit groggy, and but yeah, they just fucking, like you said, blew me away. But yeah, they were just. I went and bought that album that they were playing around that time. It's like, God, coming to 10 years now. But I don't know why they haven't done a Sonisphere since, because they were like the best festival I've ever been to.
Didn't
Every
they just run
band,
out of money or something like that?
I don't know, but just every band was just. I was interested in all of them because
It was
it was like a football pitch. It was like stage there, and then as soon as the band finished, you literally just turned around,
that's
walked
the
about 100 foot, and
that's how a lot of the European ones do it. Bloodstock has two main stages as well, and they'll just chop and change.
yeah.
But
See,
with
Vakken's
the
like,
I think Hellfest was the best place I've seen something like that, because they've got one tent which is, it isn't, but it's basically the folk and black metal tent. Like most of the bands that play there are the folk or the black metal bands. And there was one year I went, I can't remember what year, 2012, maybe 13, maybe a little bit later, but we had Winterson on, and I turned around and watched Fintroll. And then I turned around and watched Ishan or something like that, who's the guitarist from Emperor, his solo thing. And then the next day it was like Immortal, and then I turned around and watched Cradle of Filth, and then I turned around and watched them. And it was like the lineup. Hellfest always has really good lineups as well, a little bit like Sonosphere, but
yeah,
I love festivals that make it really easy to ingest all of the bands you like in a short period of time.
Well, Sonosphere on the Saturday, it was very first band, like 11 o'clock. It was Ailstorm, first thing in the morning. So everybody's pissed up for that. You turn around and then it's Ghost, who were just like starting to blow up at this point.
Yeah.
Then you turn back around, it's Chaz and Dave. Then you turn back around, there's Baby Metal. It's just like, so it's like,
Oh, I saw Baby Metal with Sabaton this year, and they were amazing.
so it's like Scotland, Swedish, London, like some pub band
Yeah.
singing songs about snooker, and then Baby Metal.
Send some J-pop with blast beats behind it.
And yeah, it just every band were just brilliant. But yeah, I don't know why they don't do that again.
Have you got any other gigs you're going to this year other than Warhorns and Ionia Fest, obviously?
Yeah, next week. Not this Wednesday after. I've seen Iron Maiden twice. It's not this Wednesday after. So Leeds, then Nottingham. I don't know why Iron Maiden have 10 years ago was like one of the first bands to start doing like ticketless, and it's just you get in with your bank card. So to stop this fraud, stop people selling the tickets. And I thought, oh, that's a really good idea. You turn up with your bank card. But now I've got tickets for this. I'm like, really? I thought they were trying to stop.
I think the problem with that not selling tickets though is that if you say came up from London, booked a hotel, and then you tried to pay and it was like, no, sorry, we're full. That would suck.
Yeah, I suppose.
So maybe they had a couple instances of that where it was good idea, but this isn't like Woodstock where it's just in a field in the middle of nowhere and anyone can show up. Although, I think Have you ever watched the videos? This is going off on a tangent. I was just thinking of massive venues, just based off what you said there. But have you ever seen the videos of the Monsters of Rock at the Moscow at the airfield in Russia? It's
Not the
like I can't remember what year, but it's I think it was AC/DC, Metallica, and Pantera. You know the music video for Domination by Pantera?
yeah.
Yeah,
Is
that's filmed at that gig, and it was like 1 million people watching them, and it's just
yeah,
like,
didn't the army get involved?
well, the army were just they were the bouncers basically, like, but and
Who
it was at a military base, so
and they're
it's
just
because
like
it's
helicopters flying like
yeah,
just above the heads and
yeah,
yeah, yeah, I've seen that.
I'd have loved to have gone to that. Like, it'd been scary as hell being in Russia, just because I think it was just after the wall knocked down.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, sorry, I went on. It was just I went on that tangent because I was thinking about like how big would a venue would you be to make sure that it never sells out of people trying to
Hmm.
pay by card.
I think it's
And unfortunately,
something like the first time Metallica played there or something, and
I think it was
everybody
the
just
first
went
time
mental.
because it was literally it was just after the Berlin Wall had fallen, so
Hmm.
it was like the first time they let any Western bands
Hmm.
come over really. And it was, unfortunately, Rocky, when he went and fought in Russia, it wasn't enough to bring down the wall. It wasn't enough to bridge the gap between East and West. So they had to send Metallica and Pantera and AC/DC to do it instead.
Yeah, fucking hell. Yeah, I didn't know
it,
about that. I didn't know AC/DC were there. I just knew
I
Metallica were
think it was
there.
AC/DC. I know it was. I have a feeling it was AC. I might be wrong.
I know
But I know it was
Metallica.
Metallica, Pantera, and someone else.
Hmm.
Um, Maybe it was
Yeah.
Slayer or something. But anyway, so yeah, you're going Iron Maiden twice. What other gigs have you got up?
Um. Well, I had Ozzy Osbourne tickets for 5 years, 2018, and I was like, "Ooh, I've seen Ozzy with Black Sabbath, but I love Ozzy's solo stuff, and he's worked with some amazing musicians. But then things got delayed, got injured, and got ill, blah blah blah, COVID, and I just cancelled it. But Judas Priest was supporting, and our lads were like, "Oh look, Priest and Ozzy, like I can't wait." I'm like, "But they're my bands. You're not supposed to like them." But she was more excited than I was. She's like, we're definitely going. I was like, yeah. Anyway, that got cancelled. So everybody was just like, when's Priest gonna actually do a UK tour? Because I saw him in not New York, New Jersey last year. I thought the way I'm going to see Priest is I'm going to have to go to America to go and see him. Um, Actually, that's not the reason why I went. It was actually the honeymoon. But Priest just happened to be there,
You just
and
happened to time it when Judas Priest were there.
I was just like, that band Priest that, yeah, they're about half an hour on a train away. We're going. Like, oh, okay. So it was
That's,
like going from Sheffield to Rotherham, but it's New York, New Jersey. But no, to be fair, the arena at New Jersey, Prudential Center, um, I like ice hockey. It's like where the New Jersey Devils play, but their arena was like I would say is better than Madison Square Garden because that's like big arena, like Madison Square Garden's famous, but uh the Prudential Center, I can't say the word properly, in Newark, it's absolutely brilliant. Like I'd say it's like even bigger than uh but anyway, I saw
I think it's just Madison has that prestige about it, doesn't it?
yeah,
It's like when
yeah.
bands play at Wembley, and I'm not saying that Wembley isn't a shit venue, but it's
Yeah.
there will be bigger venues soon in the UK, but people still
Hmm.
want to play Wembley because it's the prestige of playing Wembley.
Yeah. So yeah, so Priests have only just announced it, but it's like Uriah Heep, Saxon. I've always wanted to see Saxon and Judas Priest. So I'm going twice again. See then Leeds and Birmingham. Um, well, they're not going to be around forever.
Oh no, you might as well get them in now.
Yeah. So yeah. So every time one of those classic metal bands tour, I always buy 2 tickets, 2 shows, just in case they call it quits. and they just hadn't. Well, Ozzy has pretty much.
Has he actually given up now, or is he just?
He's just doing the odd show, I think.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, he is well old, and he's like held together with Blue Tech now. So
even his doctor said he should have died like 30 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, no shit. like
out of everybody who's died, like he should have. Well, you'd have thought he would have been the one. But yeah, I love Ozzy Osbourne. I feel Ozzy's one of the few that's got done really, really successful solo careers. After leaving a big band like Black Sabbath. But
is Zakk Wylde his guitarist again?
Yes,
because I know he ditched him for a while and he went with Gus G for 2 albums or something like that.
Yeah, it would definitely Zakk Wylde going to be on this tour.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, I think he's just doing the odd show in America at a minute. But yeah, so I just want going slightly off subject. In fact, there's
you got questions lined up because I came in like
you've already answered them before I can ask you. I was gonna ask you, what is your creative process like?
My creative process is
you've already answered that.
I know. We throw things together and then see what sticks. Although I will say that the next kind of batch of songs which are cooking, quite black metal.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, it's not a shock. It's not a shock hearing it from you, but I'm like from what I've heard.
I mean, one of the songs that you've not heard yet, we've played it live, but you haven't seen us live. So
I've watched it on Facebook. I saw it on Facebook.
Nightmare's got a bit of tremolo-y stuff in it. But no, there's one which is just straight up. Basically, Nick, our drummer, was just like, "Can you and Richard just write an Emperor riff?" So we did. Now we're gonna write a more black metal-y section. I don't know whether the whole song will be black metal or if it will just be a middle part or what. Because generally we just, like I mentioned earlier with Jesse, he just churns out riffs and we pick at them and change them and make them better. Like Jesse's a really good like ideas guy. I think I'm good at like making a section of a song. So like I'll write a big epic sexy bridge. Then obviously Colin, Juno, they add all the folk and usually we base everything around there. But yeah, the creative process is really organic. It's just chill.
So I know you said you record things from your own home. How did you record the drums? Because
MIDI.
But
the MIDI.
Was it electronic kit? Because it sounds
pretty... it's just MIDI.
It can't be.
It is. He just drew them into a MIDI. It's what he plays. He wrote them, but it's MIDI just to save time.
But I think sounds so realistic.
Because right now, admittedly, we don't know whether we're going to do another EP or just wait until we've got enough for an album. But I think it'll go EP just with how long it takes us to write songs. Because we do take our time with writing them. Like we've got one which nickname is Starthing, and Starthing has existed since our first gig. So it's existed since December. It's nowhere near done. We're getting there now. We're just kind of piecing it together, but it takes us ages to write things. As much as we've got like 15 songs probably started, 5 done and dusted more or less, but now we're looking at them again to change them up and make them a little bit more interesting maybe. So not massively, but like even like Siren's Call, like that's got a little bit more like harmonizing in the riffs when we play it live now, because when we especially Siren's Call, that was before we had Richard in the band when we wrote that, and once we kind of settled on how we wanted that song to be, he then joined in, he just plays what I played on the recording. In hindsight, we should have probably took some time to make it a little bit more interesting, but it's fine. We changed that up live a little bit.
How did you record the choirs. In World, like the first song,
It's just Jesse.
it's just on his own.
Yeah, I think it's Jesse and Will, who was the guy who was recording us, which is
So there's no Gibby in that.
no,
Oh,
I never got to a vocal booth. I do a lot of singing live though.
okay, yeah.
Yeah. But no, when he was doing the vocals, I think it was when I was in Norway at that Midgårdsblot, so I was away for 2 weeks. I think that's when they kind of went into, because we also recorded the tin whistle
Hmm.
in a vocal booth kind of thing, which I think was just in Will's house, but still. Um, he's a really good like recorder though, like mixing and mastering. He made us sound so. We wanted it to be like a shit little demo just to get something out, and he made it sound so good.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he's done a sick job at it.
So how'd you get around then? Like, obviously you played Nottingham, you've played Selby. You have
so
a
I
big van,
mean,
or
we we would drive, but we've got a. I mentioned earlier the band Treebeard and
yeah,
Mr. Treebeard, the Chris, who's the kind of main driving force behind that. Like we're good friends with him, and he took us to Selby in the van. We took all the kit in that. Same with Nottingham, but they we don't ask him really, or at least we don't like plan gigs around him taking us. But the last few he's ended up taking us, and he comes up on stage and does a little jam with us. So you'll see him at Aonia Fest. We play like this folk tune with him, and he's there's already a meme now actually. So he dresses up like Gandalf a little bit, like looks like a grand
yeah,
wizard
yeah. I've
when he's.
seen that. Yeah.
Have you seen the meme though, which is the it's the Frodo. Frodo's like, "Where were you, Gandalf?" It's like, "I'm sorry, Frodo. I was delayed." It usually cuts to him at a rave, but it
Yeah.
cut to him in the tap and tumbler on stage with us. I'll try and find that and send it to you. But it was literally the promoter Laura, who's I'm really good friends with. She's one of my best mates. Her boyfriend's who's the guitarist for these. She did put the gig on in Nottingham, and she sent me that the next day. She was like, "I have no idea who this person is, by the way." So that was a really good gig. I think that was my favorite gig we've done so far. Unfortunately, our singer wasn't there with us. We had to get a step in last minute because they were really ill. Um, and they needed to rest because we had the Metal to the Masters final the next day, which was also really fun playing on Corp main stage. But I think the Nottingham gig was, in terms of vibe and crowd, that was my favorite gig. When are you guys going to gig? I saw you do a post a while ago saying you will play live one day.
Yeah. No, no, honestly, I will play live. Um, but I've got two vocalists. I've got Tom, who's more of death metal. I've got Evgen from Ukraine. Obviously, there's like, the war going off at the
Yeah,
minute.
there's shit going off on there.
But he's touring. He's touring. He's playing live in Ukraine, and I've seen what they've been posting. He says, yeah, we're just playing like we normally would, which is
It's
good.
so like props
The
to them. Like so, we had at my work we had a Ukrainian lass working for us, and she was over just because of the war. Um,
hmm,
so I don't want to use the word refugee, but basically she escaped the country. She escaped to Britain because the war was. She lives around Kiev, and it
yeah,
was when it was all kicking off around and close to that.
yeah, that's where he's
Um,
from. Yeah,
yeah, and that was she was with us. She was meant to be with us for about 6 months, but then by September time or whatever it was, they'd managed to push the Russian forces away from Kiev, and she was like, "I'm going home," and she just left. And we were like, "Okay, well, fair
yeah,
enough." Like,
yeah,
props to you if you want to go home. Like,
yeah. I talk to him every couple of weeks. But um, yeah, he's lead singer of this power metal band, and
yeah, I saw a clip. I think it was earlier today. You posted something. Oh,
yesterday was his birthday. I shared
was
one
it
of their
yesterday?
videos. But yeah, he's recently done some recordings with them.
Nice.
Um, but yeah, I were actually saying about playing live. I think with Evgen being over there for now, maybe just do some half an hour sets just Tom. Because Tom's done quite a lot of Final Blast songs just on his own, especially the earlier stuff. But there's a way I can play a song off each album, each EP with just him, and we can make it work. But then obviously, Saint Future, get Evgen to come over, we can play anything.
Maybe you should do like a CD launch for your first album, which came out like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So just do the first ones with Tom, and then do another one for your second album once your other singer can fly over.
Yeah, I think Tom will be coming to Warzone. Warhomes.
It's not Call of Duty, mate.
No, I'm fed up with that game. Been that off ages ago. But yeah, I think he'll be going to Warhomes with me.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, me, Nick, and Jesse will be there, and potentially some of the other members. Because they all, like I said, they've all got kids and jobs and stuff, so a lot of them won't know until closer. Admittedly, I don't know if I can go yet, so I might just be going for a day. I might just be going for the Friday, which, because if I'm working the weekend, I'd probably have Thursday, Friday off. That's the only reason why. But it's just with my work, because I work with students. September time, they might need me to work the weekend, and that's my only kind of thing holding me back at the minute. But I'm, like I mentioned earlier, like I'm not worried about getting a ticket. Like it'll be fine. Like I don't know the capacity of it, but I don't think it'll go beyond capacity. It's a really good little festival. Like though, as I said, because it's in the like the Workman's Club. It's all day food there, like so you could go in and get like an all day breakfast, and it's
breakfast.
Yeah, so it's like because it's just a big working man's club, so they've got the big function room, which is where the actual gigs are on and all the merch stands. But then the other rooms where the bar is and the food and all that stuff. And they usually have this really killer. I say killer beer because it goes down too easily, and it's quite strong. It's 6.66%. It's called Yggdrasil, but it goes down like water. That was the death of Gibby the first time.
What's it called? Yggdrasil.
Yeah.
Reminds me of that song. I don't know if it's the same word. Reminds me of that song, Brothers of Metal. I think they've got a song called that.
Probably. It's the big tree of the realms in Nordic mythology.
Yeah, because Brothers of Metal, that's like Nordic sort of metal sort of thing. But I really want to see Brothers of Metal, Beast in Black, and Glory Hammer. Not so much into Glory Hammer that much, but all three of them are playing together. But it's just London, like right in the heart of London, and
we've got
a ball ache, man. You're going to Carlton Horses, aren't you?
Yeah, we've got that. At least we've got till January to figure out the logistics of that.
Yeah, it's just a ball ache, London, man. It's just it's not a fun thing to laugh about, losing everything on your PC.
Yeah, it is what it is. Yeah. Oh well. So yeah, that's what I'm going to spend my evening doing, just catching up, and also just putting down things that we've been coming up with over the last few weeks, just so it exists and somewhere where we can grab it quickly and throw it into a song. So
yeah, shit happens. Technology, man. Especially in this sort of industry, it's just files everywhere.
What do you normally record through then? Are you Pro Tool? I just realized my hands. I keep forgetting my camera's down here because it's a little camera. So sorry, I was twiddling. But
no.
What do you normally record through?
Logic X. Just because I went to uni and I was like, oh, I'm very good at Cubase, me. And then I went to uni. He was like, yeah, we don't do that. It's all Logic X and Pro Tools. Go and learn it. Oh, okay then. So I had to learn Logic, which is pretty much like Cubase. It's just everything's the opposite. But I got
Right.
used to it. But I know I really love Logic, so that's what I use for me DAW. Um, yeah, I could never get along with Pro Tools. Maybe it's just because I haven't played with it that much. But
Yeah, my brother swears by Pro Tools, and I've tried to use his, and I don't get it. Like
yeah,
to me, I've when I started looking at what door to buy, I've just ended up sticking with Cubase, and I just upgrade that every
yeah,
few years. So I'm probably due an upgrade now. I think I'm on 10.5. I think
Cubase.
they're yeah, and I think they're
Wow.
on like 12 now. So
Wow. I remember looking at Cubase 7 and 8 and going, wow, this looks amazing. So I'm like, I'm shocked that you just said 12. Like,
I think they're on 12. I'm on 10 and a half. Maybe they're on
eh.
11 now. I don't know. I don't really keep track. It's just
Yeah.
every few years
Well, I've lost
I've
track
basically
too
gone
now.
on because you could just pay for an upgrade rather than pay for the new one.
Yeah.
So every few years I just kind of go on and or have done in the past, just bought an upgrade. So
I'll tell you what I bought probably a year ago, and I've been on it once or twice. Guitar Pro 7.
nice.
I
Yeah.
was just like,
I
man, I
don't think
miss this.
I've never paid for Guitar Pro, and I refuse. I still stick with their Guitar Pro 5, I think, or 4,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
which
sure
is
it's 7. Guitar Pro 7, yeah. Been on it twice. I'm just like, you know what? I should really tab out my songs at one point. Um, because if I am going to start playing live, which I will, it'd just be nice to have some tabs to just give to people. It's like
yeah.
if you want to learn, if you want to be a part of the band, then here's
Depends on
some
the
tabs.
guitar though, because if they're just doing rhythm as well, like I think
Mm,
for me anyway, I've always found if I know the tuning, I can figure it out. Like,
mm,
and then I always find it better to do it personally. I find it better to learn yourself, and then, um, when you actually get practicing, then you'll figure out, oh well, no, that bit's a bit wrong, and then
mm.
that's just how I've always preferred to learn.
Yeah,
I know like everyone learns from tabs, and that's fine. I'm not shitting on tabs or anything like that.
mm,
And I think tabs are a good place where, so like if I'm trying to learn a song and I just can't figure out what he's going from here to there, and I can't figure out that, I might look at the tabs like, oh, he does it that way. Okay, then
mm,
yeah. But yeah, I've always just not found it easy, but just liked learning by ear or trying to learn by ear
mm.
at least. Once I know the tuning, I can generally figure it out a bit.
Yeah,
I'm not a good guitarist, or at least I don't think I am. Um, but I think I'm a good rhythm player, if that makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah. You are. I'd agree with that.
Because like
Just-
they like the band keeps saying like do a solo. It's like no,
Yeah.
Richard's the lead guitarist. He could do the
Mm,
twiddly stuff on the high strings.
yeah. I mean, my last album, I think there's way more guitar solos in it than the previous stuff. So
Yeah, even
I think that's what made me get Guitar Pro as well, to be able
mm,
to just remember shit. But yeah, because I wouldn't be able to remember all my solos now. If I had to play from a whole album, there'd be lots that I'd forgotten. Um,
yeah.
but I can easily just like say by ear. You go, oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, blah blah blah.
Are
But
you one of those who so like when I'm writing stuff, because I've sent like stuff to the band and then we've come to like practice it and like how do you play that? I was like, no idea, can't remember.
yeah, yeah, I see what you mean.
I'm not
Yeah,
quite a I wouldn't say as go as far as like recording like one note at a time, but sometimes if I'm just trying to like get something quickly, I will just chop in like do a couple takes and just like chop, chop, chop.
mm,
And then once it's on, I kind of forget about it and move on to the next thing. But yeah, there's a couple times that Richard the guitarist has been like, "Oh, what's that harmony you do? It's a bit weird." It's like it is weird, and I can't remember. So
yeah. I think I think that were the case for me with the last one, just because
hmm,
I put a bit more effort into the lead sort of things.
right.
Um, yeah, just like quickly learn it, record it, and then move on to the next bit. Um, but yeah, Yeah,
How do
I'm sure
you?
most people do
You're
that.
asking about my writing thing then. So, do you kind of like work on one thing until it's done and then move on to the next song, or do you like pick at songs gradually?
Um, I think I used to pick at songs, just like focus on that song
Oh, so
until
you
it.
just like
And
work on one song until it was done and you were happy, and then move on to another.
I think that's how I used to do it. Like the first
Right.
EP, first album. But I think this last album, um, I think I just wrote a bunch of ideas. Probably got worked on the first three songs,
Hmm.
and then the next three songs, and so on. I think I did it that way. Um, but yeah.
So, because for me, because I really struggle to like finish a song. I'm okay at finishing other people's songs. So like if Jesse and the rest of the band come in idea, and like I said, and they want me to gibby it up, like I'm more than happy to like use their things, add some bits, maybe change the structure a bit.
Mm,
And I'm more than happy doing that. But I really find it hard to like get one idea down and then turn it into a finished product. I'll usually have like a main riff and then a melody, and
mm,
then I'll be like, right, Jesse,
mm.
it's your turn now. You add to this, and then I'll pick
Yeah.
through what I like that you've done.
Do you still do much orchestration? Because I know obviously back in
No,
college
so
days.
I kept trying to. So when I wasn't in a band, I kept trying to. And I was really interested in buying like the East West stuff,
Yeah.
like for a long time. And I didn't because I was like, I know I'll buy it and I will not be able to commit to it. Because for me, I need because when I wasn't in the band, I found it really hard to get motivated to write music.
Yeah.
I'd write riffs, and a lot of them have now been turned into ThunarWülf stuff, just riffs I'd jam while I was playing my guitar, or sections that I'd already just melodies and stuff I'd come up with. But
Mm,
in terms of trying to actually write stuff, I need it. I need like a goal. So like this is for a band I'm in kind of thing. So it's finding it easier now. I did still nearly do it though a couple of years ago. I had a friend who was making uh he was making a mod for a game called Armor 3,
mm,
and he wanted some music for the last mission, which was like this. So he basically he'd written this campaign that he'd thrown into the game for us to play, just for him and his mates to play, and to maybe put on the internet for other people. And like, there's this big like last stand battle at the end. They wanted this like cinematic thing to happen. And he asked me to write some music for that, and that I really enjoyed doing that again. It was like
mm.
the college days where we were writing music for video games, and that was so I whipped out the old Edirol for that. But no, in terms of orchestration, um, I yeah, I've not got around to it. Especially because with the Edirol, um, that only works on 32-bit software,
Mm,
and Cubase now is 60. So I've since then I've upgraded my Cubase to 64-bit only,
mm,
and it's hard to find, or it's more effort to find like good VSTs for free and to compile them all and put them all and get them all onto my Cubase. It's just yeah.
mm.
I still like my orchestra. I mean, I keep every time I talk to you, I'm like, have you listened to much Vanaheim yet? Because they're awesome.
Yeah, yeah, I listened to him
Well,
a few times, yeah.
they're playing in December, and I'm going to go to that. We actually got asked to play it as well, which is annoying. But we couldn't do it. Because we've already got a gig booked in December, and there was just the promoter didn't want the band's playing too many gigs close to it, and I think we're playing another gig like a week away from it or something. So,
Mm,
and we'd already announced that one, um, which is a bit guttering for me because he asked us to play it because it's the guy from Warhorns, and he's trying to do it the same weekend as HRH Vikings because that's basically not going to be a thing anymore. So it's Warhorns Vikings, and he's like taking that weekend to do like his own Viking thing.
mm.
And yeah, he asked us to play. We're like, oh no, but he was like, but you can only play if you haven't got a gig like within 10 days or something. And like, oh no, sorry, we can't because we've already got a gig. And he was just like, okay, no worries. And then they announced the headliner was Vanaheim the next day. I was like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Definitely not. Sorry, I'm just gonna shut window because it's like thunderstorming out here.
Is
It's
it?
just,
Ooh, must be coming my way then.
we're good. My window's already shut. It's just absolutely
Nice.
bombing it down.
I'm not much north of you, and I'm not seeing it yet. Although it was thundering up here last night, thunder and lightning, which was cool. At like 5 a.m., which woke me up. But
yeah. I've been awake since then.
nice.
But
the joys of being a parent. Anyway,
you know I forgot his name. The keyboard, not Chris, the keyboardist at Hailstorm. The one on. Did he not run
Yeah, he
Warhorns
still
at one
does.
point? Right.
Does.
Yeah, I thought it was.
So
yeah,
it's him and a guy called Glyn, who are the people who kind of are put it together. Glyn is more like the organizer of the festival, and Andy, I want to say his name is. Yeah, I think his name Andy. He like handles the actual logistics side of it. So he's like the stage manager and stuff when you're there. And he makes sure everything ticks over in terms of actual running of the bands and the festival. But it's Glyn and his like little brainchild, yeah.
Yeah. No, I didn't know if it's still.
Yeah, he's still there. Like he still does it every year. He's still there every weekend.
Oh, pretty good then. Pretty good. So
Yeah,
what games are you playing at the minute? I know you love your games.
do. Right now, so I've got a bunch of single player games I keep meaning to finish, which I haven't got around to, including
Skyrim.
God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah.
I keep getting distracted. So I'm a big Total War fan. I keep getting distracted by Total War.
Yeah.
So I'm playing a lot of Three Kingdoms Total War at the minute. I like my strategy games in general, so Company of Heroes keeps coming up. Although I've just bought that new Starship Troopers game, and that's so good.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen much of it, but it's basically. Did you ever play Left 4 Dead?
I feel like I have, but somebody else's house, not.
Yeah, so basically, Left 4 Dead's like get from one area of map to another without dying, and you're running from like hundreds and hundreds of zombies.
Yeah,
it's a little bit like that but it's Starship Troopers, so it's hundreds and hundreds of bugs with big pointy talons trying to eat you. But it's a little bit, it's really cool. So like you land on this map, and then you have to like build a base together, and the base building mechanics are really cool. Like and once you build a base, you get like a bunch of objectives you have to try and fulfill. So it'll be like, gather these resources, or like clear this like group of elite warrior bugs out, or like map these tunnels or whatever. And then once you've done that, and while you're doing that though, you also have to defend the base. And it's 16 player just against the AI. And then once you've completed all the objectives, there's the mad rush to extract, where you've got to like run to the dropship and take off. And it's I don't know if have you seen the movie Starship Troopers?
No, I don't think I have.
This is going to be lost on you then. But it's basically, there's one scene in Starship Troopers where they're defending this base, and they've all got to like fall back and extract, and it's just that, but on steroids, and it's so good. So yeah, that's like it's PC only pro at the minute. But like the team that make it, they've also made this other PC game called Squad, which is like trying to be super realistic modern warfare kind of game. So as much as this is like a silly Starship Troopers, they've brought all the gun mechanics and like the engine from that. It's basically just a mod for that to make it Starship Troopers, but it's like the actual like engine running it and all the gun mechanics and stuff feel really realistic and really cool and really like visceral, but with the silliness of Starship Troopers thrown in there. It's awesome.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to wrap this up pretty soon.
Yeah.
I'll just ask you a few quick questions, probably silly questions that you'll not appreciate.
Okay.
You'll not appreciate this. You can only pick one. Encifrim or Winterson?
Encifrim, because they're actually going to release more songs.
I knew that answer already. But
yeah,
okay.
I like Winter Sun, and I've always liked Winter Sun, but I'm a huge Petri Lindroos fan, and I know most Encifrum fans will write me off because they see Yari as the golden age, and Yari was there when he set like the like groundwork for Encifrum. But I do love me some Petri Lindroos, and personally, all the best albums have been while he's been like so From Afar, which you've got the T-shirt for. That's like for me peak Encifrum.
Is that your number one album from them?
Yeah, probably. But Thalassic is also
Is
amazing,
brilliant.
and so is One Man. I think those three albums are like perfect albums in the sense that there's no songs that I skip on it.
I know some people shit on Unsung Heroes, but I actually quite enjoyed it.
I think it's a good album.
I think the mix is really good.
I really like the use of kind of actual instruments in that. It was a good contrast, especially from Afar, which was obviously like pre-production to fuck with loads of orchestral VSTs and things like that. I liked Unsung Hero for their use of like real choir, and the organ in Unsung Hero just sounds awesome with the way it like trickles through. But yeah, for me, From Afar, One Man Army, and Thalassic are their three best albums for me.
I could be wrong, but I think Unsung Heroes, a lot of it recorded over here in London, I think.
I'm not too sure. Maybe some of like the actual real instruments were, but they did a making of DVD. I can't remember anything about being in London, but I might be wrong.
It might be another album then, but I think
maybe.
I think it was something like Air Studios or Angel Studios, something
Isn't
like
that the guy? Well, I know they're good friends with the keyboardist from Fintroll, and he's now just does studio work, and he lives in London, so maybe they did something with him. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. Because it's the keyboardist from Fintroll. He doesn't gig with them at all. He only does the writing and stuff, but he's also the second guitarist from Moon Sorrow.
Oh yeah.
The bigger guy. Again, he doesn't gig with them anymore. They now have the bald guy with the beard who just does like live session work with them. But he's a big part of Fintroll and Moon Sorrow. I love Moon Sorrow. I hope they tour again soon.
Yeah, such a good band.
Like... We're due another album soon as well. It's been a good like 5 years, yeah, easy. If not up, maybe 6. It's hard to count with COVID because we lost like 2 years. So
I watched last time I saw Moon Sorrow. I think it was when they supported Corpiclani, and
that's such a great lineup, but also like two completely different ends of the folk metal like scene in Finland.
Because Corpiclani got quite a few short songs, haven't they?
Yeah, and then
like short songs, but their songs are like really long, and then just like.
Well, this was the thing. Like, so last time I saw Moon Sorrow, which was it wouldn't be last. It was the first time they played HRH. My girlfriend came with me, and we'd been in town all day, and I could just remember like Moon Sorrow had been on for a while, and she complained. She was like, "Oh, my feet are killing," and I looked at my watch, and I was like, "Oh, they should be finishing soon, I imagine." And they were like, "Last song," and Emma was like, "Oh, thank fuck," and they were like, Jotunheim. I was like, oh no, this one's 25 minutes, love. Go sit down. I'll see you outside.
Yeah. My favourite has always been is it Valmaster Yukanasta or something like that, the second album.
My favourite in terms of album, Versakit, which is
the fourth one. Yeah, the fourth one.
I love that. Like with Haska and Pimia. Fucking awesome. And then there's the album number 5. I can't remember its name, but that's got 2 songs and both are like half an hour long.
Oh yeah. For me, it's the second and third one. Valmasker and begins with a K. I forgot how you pronounce it, but
Kivan Kitaja, something like that. Kivan
Kitaya. The snowy.
The Runestone.
Yeah. I think they played quite a lot of that the first time I saw them in New York.
Yeah, every time I've seen like, so the first time I saw them was in 2007 or 8, and probably 2008. It was the best lineup ever. So Wintersun were meant to play it, and Wintersun pulled out because he was nearly finished with Time, which obviously didn't come out for like another 6 years after this. But it was headlining was it was the first like Pagan Fest tour in the UK. So it was Ensiferum, Moon Sorrow, Elvati, Tyr, and I think that was it. But either way, like Elvati and Tyr and Moon Sorrow and Ensiferum, it was fucking so good.
Yeah.
I'm a really big fan of Tyr as well now. Like their last album, Hell, was so good. I'd recommend you have a listen to it if you haven't. Like the guitar work, and it's just immense.
Yeah, hopefully we can. I know this is people will just laugh, but we need to hear some more Winter Sun. He's got 4 albums cooking. Surely one of them's got to be finished soon.
So I get not annoyed. Like you can't defend him for it. I'm a big fan of Wintersun. I really like the music he's brought out, but I think the best way to go about it is if you just don't expect him to do anything else.
That's it.
Like I still listen to those albums, like when I'm in the mood, but I don't get upset about it because to me there's always other music you can listen to, and I always think like I know I've mentioned them a few times, but like Vanaheim are now filling that gap for me, that epic folk metal with a bit of balls behind it. Because their first album it's perfect. I cannot pronounce the name because it's Dutch and it's like three Dutch words.
Yeah.
But that album is again, it's a perfect album. Like the last song, Gavalen in de Nacht, is like I listen to it at least once a day. It's so good. And they are really good live, a lot of fun live. So I'm really looking forward to seeing them again at the end of the year. Because I think they're playing, it's like the first weekend of December or something up in Wakefield.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of that band. You're in that Facebook group, Winter Sun fans.
I am, yeah.
But there's a band that often gets posted in there that sound just like, well, it sounds just like Yara. I'm trying to think of the.
Are they the band that have like the merch which says "Yes, we know we sound like them" and it's in the Winter Sun font?
I don't know actually.
There's one band that I've seen have that, like they've got it like printed on the back of their t-shirts, like "Yes, we know we sound like them."
Maybe then I can't find them. I can't find them.
I don't. Whenever anyone asks, I always post about Vanaheim because those guys deserve to get big. And they posted like today or yesterday that they played one of the big stages at Hellfest, so they're doing all right.
Yeah.
Or Grass Pop, one of them. So
they're
doing just fine. And what I like about them is that they're fully independent. They don't have a label or anything like that. They've purely got big through word of mouth, and they deserve it because that album is.
I think that's what's your opinion on record labels? Because what you've just said, what they're doing, I think is the better way. And if you can get on these festivals, like you've just said, as independent, then you're doing really fucking good. Because I feel like record labels can help you get onto a big festival.
I think it depends on the genre, obviously. Record labels and publishing companies will always have their place in the music scene. I don't know enough about. I know Joel used to always complain about like never sign anything, never put your card behind. They're just out to fuck you. And that was like all of his music business lessons were basically like never sign for a label. Yeah. But you know the amount of bands that start off independent until they get big and then sign for a label, that they obviously take away a lot of you pay for the convenience kind of thing of them. They'll sort out a lot of the stuff for you and they'll hook you up with a lot of things. I think that's mainly what it is these days, but some bands do it on their own, like Vanaheim. Necrogoblicon, they're another band that are purely like they just do everything themselves. I think Enter Shikari still are. If not, they were for a really long time. I don't really follow them, so I don't know, but I've heard from them before that they were independent and they definitely made it
Yeah.
being
Is
indie.
it is like, especially in this online world, there's so many ways to
Yeah, it's
make
like
a
these
living.
days, especially with Bandcamp and stuff like that.
Mm.
There's enough, and even Spotify. I know people complain about the money bands get from Spotify, and rightly so. There
But
needs
there
to be
is
a better way to
potential
do
there.
it. But I think Bandcamp fills that void where if
Mm.
you can link those two, like, hey, if you like this band, go to Bandcamp, buy their
Yeah.
stuff, do it on the Bandcamp Friday, so they get all the money. Like,
Yeah. And the good thing about Spotify as well now recently is you can connect your shop, your online shop
can you?
to uh to your Spotify page. But I thought you could only at first you could only put 3 items on there. But now I think they mix and match it. So if you go onto your page, on our page, whatever, you can see all the merch from the shop.
Okay,
It just links, which I think
okay,
is
that's a good way
really,
of doing it.
it's really good thing that they're doing there.
But yeah, like I think it's good to see bands can still do it without. And I think maybe COVID. Excuse me,
Yeah.
this beer is really gassy. Maybe COVID had something to do with that, where because I don't know for sure, but maybe that's pushed bands to do it more on their own, or it kind of opened that void where maybe record labels weren't signing anyone for a while, so some bands had to make it on their own, and they've proved you still can. I think that's the thing to take out of it, is that like those labels still make things convenient. I have no
Yeah.
doubt they'll hook you up with the best sound producers and all that, get you on the really cool tours. But Vanaheim as an example, I keep bringing them up, but they've just done a tour with Ensiferum. I keep like Ensiferum. I always pronounce the name like differently, like every other word.
Yeah.
But yeah, like they've just done a tour with them, and now they played Grass Pop on one of the big stages. You don't need it.
Yeah. What would you say if a metalhead said to you, "Oh, nobody buys music anymore"?
I buy music.
There you go. In America, just America alone, I think it's something like 46 million vinyls sold and 42 million CDs sold, just America.
I
So
think
people still buy.
the biggest seller for people is t-shirts, and now vinyls are making some kind of comeback. Like, I don't have a vinyl player, and I own a handful of vinyls, and I'm gonna like hang them up once I've sorted out one of my rooms.
Yeah.
But I do know, like, for instance, my brother, he's bought a vinyl player and he's started buying vinyls now. And a lot of vinyls as well. You buy the vinyl, you get a code to download the MP3, or if you buy it
That's
from the
cool.
Bandcamp, you get the MP3 anyway with that.
Yeah.
Personally, I still buy CDs. I still walk around with an MP3 player. I have a Spotify account, but I only use it for when people share a song with me to listen to. I don't openly use it.
Yeah. I mean,
That's more preference of I'm, as I kind of mentioned earlier, when we were talking about like people telling me to listen to bands, I find it really hard to get excited about music. Not music I haven't found, but I like, if I want to listen to music, I want to listen to something I know I'm gonna love, basically, because it's my downtime, it's my chill time.
yeah.
So I still buy CDs and I still listen to my MP3 player every day. So that's just where I'm at. But I do
Yeah.
like this idea that people are buying vinyls and things again, because that,
Well, in first time in history, I think with 2019, vinyls outsold CDs for the first time in
that
history.
really doesn't surprise me. Like,
And you're like, most people are like, but they're like extinct. But well, now they just made a comeback.
yeah, it's
So,
like I was saying. So it's not only my brother, because my brother doesn't buy CDs anymore. He just buys vinyls. My friend Laura, I know they like buying CDs now. Like buying vinyls over CDs. And because you get the MP3 usually free with it anyway, so
you remember
sometimes
like,
you get a CD in it as well.
yeah, I can remember like 8 years ago, like H&V were gonna go bust. But if you walk in H&V now, they're only gonna sell what they know is gonna sell. You walk in H&V
Yeah.
and you've got vinyls and pop vinyls.
Yeah.
It's just like, wow, what happened here? But
Although I have noticed that the metal section's got bigger at the one in Sheffield, so
yeah,
that metal fans buy CDs. I
that's
personally
it.
like owning a physical thing though. That's just
Yeah, I feel like all the genres out there. I could be wrong. I could be wrong with this, but in terms of buying merch, metal is one of the best.
Oh yeah, sure. Like, I mean, for instance, when I don't know how many times it's happened, but without having looked at any gigs are on when Def Leppard are in town because everyone in town's wearing a Def Leppard t-shirt. Whereas if 50 Cent or someone like that played, or to put it on its head, when Arctic Monkeys played 2 gigs, I saw maybe 1 or 2 Arctic Monkey t-shirts in town.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas 2 weeks earlier, when it was Motley Crue and Def Leppard, all I saw were Motley Crue and Def Leppard t-shirts when I finished work.
And I saw one not even in Sheffield. It was something like Scunthorpe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, metal's definitely good for the merch side of things. Yeah, so yeah, not everybody buys CDs anymore, but it's not dead. I won't say it's dead.
No, I think it still has its place. Like I said, I do, but I get why people don't. I don't do it. I don't want to sound like I'm honorable, and I do it to support the band. I do it because I like owning a physical thing.
Yeah.
But things like Spotify definitely make it easier for people to not only access their music but also find new bands that are similar.
Yeah,
So.
it's like I said right at the beginning of this episode when I first discovered Nightwish. I was like, oh, I'll just go on LimeWire and see what they sound like. And then I went and bought every fucking album and seen them 3 or 4 times. It's like, so I've spent a lot of money on them just from illegally downloading 1 or 2 songs. So, like I said, Spotify gives you that gateway. And now that they're adding your shops, not Bandcamp, but like they're like really official shops.
Yeah,
I think that's so cool. So, you know, they do actually care about the artist.
they try to. We try to care, guys.
Yeah. But how many artists have you discovered, man? Like online and that, it's just crazy.
Pretty much
Anyway,
all
I think we've only got 5 minutes till this video runs out.
Okay.
But, just some random stupid questions. Guinness or Hobgoblin?
Guinness if I'm in Ireland, Hobgoblin if not, and that's. I'm not trying to be a snob about it, but it is better in Ireland.
Good answer. Good answer. That. I'm Anamar or Arch Enemy.
I mean, they're both bands I said earlier where they release they've released the same album the last 12 years, 20 years, whatever. It's just a good album. Although I do prefer old Arch Enemy to new, so I'd say Amon Amarth in terms of newer stuff. I'm not a huge fan of Alyssa.
What's your favorite drink?
Sorry?
What's your favorite drink?
Oh, I drink a lot of favorite's mead. I just don't. You can't really buy it in shops. You can order it online, but in terms of just sat around the house, probably rum.
Rum. Do you listen to much Ailstone much?
Yeah. Like I have. I've not been too bothered about the last few albums, but that's nothing against them. I've just
I saw him in New York 2018. I don't know if it's just because I've just been traveling for 24 hours and I absolutely couldn't wait to get in bed. But afterwards, I was like, I don't know. I just went off him for a bit. But I've listened to him since. But no, I really love the Pirate Fest that they did in 2014 at Cork.
Yeah,
that were brilliant. What's your favorite food? Favorite meal?
I don't know. Right, I'm a really big fan of chicken wings. Like if there's a Wings Wednesday or anything there, I am fucking on it. So I'd say generic chicken wings.
Yeah. I don't know if you're ever into wrestling, but Ric Flair has got his own chicken wings now.
That doesn't surprise me at all, to be honest.
They're called a Woo Wings. So I might have to try them sometime. Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings?
Oh, Lord of the Rings, because it was good until the end.
Yeah. Did you like the Hobbits? I really love the Hobbits.
I like the Hobbits for what they were. Like, I didn't compare them.
Yeah.
And I didn't expect the Hobbit to be as amazing as Lord of the Rings, but Lord of the Rings was like 12 years in the making. in terms of like pre-production and planning and all that stuff and creating the props. I think the big thing that the big thing that The Hobbit didn't have going for it was that it was mainly CGI, and I get why they did it, and I don't have an innate problem with them doing it because that's just how movies are made these days. But I think that's where Lord of the Rings stands out, is because it was Aragorn stabbing a guy dressed as an orc rather than
I know
Thorin waving his sword at an invisible thing where they added one later, and you could tell
with the extended versions, Lord of the Rings, they do add quite a bit in. But
it's like
the Hobbit films.
It's like 15 minutes, yeah.
The Hobbit, the third Hobbit, Battle of Five Armies.
It's just some goats in it.
I think I remember thinking, was that an hour and 40?
Thunder's just coming here now.
Yeah, I remember thinking Battle of Five Armies, is that an hour and 40-minute long? Well, it wasn't that long to say it's like, But then when I got the extended things, there must have been about half an hour, 40 minutes, probably more than that, of just battle scenes completely cut out of the cinema.
I think the thing with The Hobbit, though, is that originally it was meant to be 2 movies.
Yeah.
It was going to be 2 movies. And then they said, oh, no, we can do it as 3. So I imagine a lot of the stuff that would have been the extended editions would have eventually been on the extent, as in, was stuff that they were going to cut out of the original movie. That's what I suspect anyway. So that's why there's only like 20 minutes, half an hour, 40 minutes, whatever. But now Lord of the Rings it's in a class of its own.
Yeah. I'm not really bothered about all these remakes and releasing it this and other.
I thought Rings of Power was okay.
I'm not seeing it.
It's all right. I enjoyed it. Like,
I mean, like Lord of the Rings.
People were shitting on it because the elves didn't have long hair and stuff like that, and I get it, but at the same time, it's a different team making it. At least on that though, all the orcs are people. Like it's all props and stuff. But Rings of Power is all right.
I just found it funny when Peter Jackson went after Lord of the Rings. Yeah, I'm never doing anything like this.
Yeah, fuck that.
And then I just went, oh, we'll do Hobbit, but obviously I said it's CGI and stuff like that. But
right, we've got less than a minute now.
Yeah, it'll probably just cut off.
then the podcast will just end.
Yeah, I always shit myself because when it goes off, I'm like waiting for the saving like the recording.
Right, so when it ends, we'll do like another 5 minutes of wrapping this up, and then or we could just leave it and release it as is. Like,
should we end it there?
Yeah, sure. Bye, guys.
I think wife and baby's coming like any second soon, so we'll probably wrap up there.
Cool.
Anyway, it's been nice talking to you anyway, Gibby.
Gibby from ThunarWülf. Check us out.